10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hychak. Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of Untold Radio AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is the sockless one, Doug Hychak.
And Joel, I dress like this to match you.
I saw that. Now Alex needs a hat.
I want to be you.
Well, he needs a hat and glasses, and we'll have the whole thing going.
Yeah,
The
Alex.
Joel starter kit.
That's it. You want to be cool like me.
And you got to shave your head too.
What, you don't have to, but it definitely gets you brownie points.
Oh my God.
You know, well, shave your head. That'd be all right.
You know, you made it when people are you for Halloween.
That's right. You know that you're right up there with the big three. You know, Buddha, Jesus. No.
So anyhow, I feel like Mini Joel today. Mini Joel.
Mini.
But I can see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look at the glasses.
Yeah,
You're looking quite astute.
I got 5 pair of glasses because
You do.
I only can find
you can't
one
see
at a
shit
time.
with any of them.
No, but I can only find one at a time. So I lose this pair.
So why, you can't see the other pairs, or
I don't know. It's just weird. This one disappears, but another one shows up.
I hear that's why you have 5 of them, though.
Yeah, that's why.
Yep.
Because
it's a revolving thing
Lost
of
and
glasses.
It's a revolving lost and found.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
So there was a guy who used to come over and visit me. You remember Tommy Mischke?
Oh, I remember Mischke. Oh yeah, back in the radio days.
So he'd come over, but he'd always leave. Every time he'd come over, he'd leave crap at my house. So I had to have a box.
Yeah,
so I had to have a, but I had a box called Mischke shit.
Mischke was at 94X for a while.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew him, was I would cross paths with him and Sushre once in a while.
Were you a rival with him, Joel?
No, I was always up north and they were down there, and they always knew I was better than they were, so they never messed with me.
Oh,
you know, they knew who their better was. So, you know.
Anyhow, Tommy was a legend. He was awesome.
Tommy's a good guy. Yeah, I haven't seen him in years. Is he still with us? I think he is.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's doing something.
Because I know he's retired from radio. Has been for a
the
while.
last time I talked to him, he was shaving bark off a log cabin he built by himself.
Yeah. You know, but by the way, Joe Sushre has his own podcast. By the way, for all you people that were big fans of the Garage Logic back in the day, he is still around. He's still doing it, oddly enough.
Still funny. He's still funny.
Yeah, still a heck of a talent. So
he's a funny guy. Well, me and Tommy used to just hit the road, and we'd go into a small town, and we would just set up shop and do a radio show, like from a gas station.
Yeah,
from a gas station or whatever. And God, it was just fun. You know, we'd end up with crowds of people.
You know, while they're trying to buy their crap, just stop them. You know,
no, it was just we'd just kind of take over a town. We'd go into just drive randomly and come to a little.
Just randomly. You guys are kind of like the Hells Angels. Wherever you landed is where you were.
That's exactly. We didn't even know where
the town had better watch out.
Hey, we'd see like some farmer would have a yak in a barbed wire fence. And this is a good town.
That's true. Hey, any town with a yak is a good town. It's a one yak town.
That's what I thought. So the last 2 days, Joel, my Tom Sawyer's been coming out. I've been building a raft.
You have been?
In my garage.
And what are you like gonna go on your lake, or are you what are you gonna do with this raft?
Yeah, I would think so. Probably use it on my lake.
And what's it made out of? Logs?
No, it's aluminum planking. And blow up pontoons.
Sure.
And
finally
then
found a use for the blow-up dolls.
kind of jerry-rigged railing.
There you go. You finally found a use.
Yeah, but I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff in inflatables. You know, when I was a kid, we'd go down the river. And
do you remember the rafts that you'd hit the button or you pull the cord and they'd inflate on their own?
Sure.
Like in seconds?
Yeah,
never do that in a car.
No.
Just want to let you know that.
But anyhow, so I started this thing and I've been building on it. And, you know, my back would get sore after a while. And so then I'd sit down. I was editing Untold. I was making Untold radio spots. Have you seen any of them?
I have here and there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
you're a busy man.
So I made one while I was doing my raft with the big. Yeah.
Is that to escape the raft?
Might be. It could be. Maybe there's a.
Should we show them? Should we show them?
Yeah.
Show the raft.
No, show them the caveman.
The caveman. All right.
Oh, I can show you the raft.
Show me the raft.
I can show you the raft.
I'm gonna cue up the promo.
Okay, here we go. Here comes the promo.
Silent Joel.
Very cool.
So that's the kind of crap I was doing to rest my back.
Yeah, because didn't you post those on Facebook?
Yes, but I didn't know you saw any.
I see everything.
Well, I don't know that.
I'm everywhere. Doug.
I don't get any. I didn't get no love.
Yeah. You didn't like it. You didn't like it, Joel.
I did like it. I liked it a lot. I forgot to hit like.
Where's the comment?
But anyhow, when I was younger, I could just bend over all day. But now it's like every 15,
that's what she said.
Every 15 minutes, I have to rest.
Yeah.
Sit.
Yeah.
Pull back.
Yeah. Well, age is you know what, man? It creeps up on all of us.
I'm excited to get out and start.
It has been a long winter. That's the problem. It has been an extremely long winter. In fact, if I were to pan my camera that way, there is a window and you would see a ton of snow still on the ground.
Right.
And it has just been, I don't know about everybody else listening, but it has been a very delayed spring.
That would be putting it mildly.
That would be charitable because really people just want to scream.
So anyhow, back to my raft.
Let's get back to your raft.
I wasn't done talking about my damn raft. So what I did, Joel, is I'm so sick of I got a big pontoon, but you got to cover the damn thing. Because if you don't, the upholstery turns crispy in 1 year. How do I know?
True.
How do I know?
How would you know about crispy?
When I moved in, funny story. So I moved in, and my neighbor goes, he just moved in too a little while after me, and he goes, "Hey, what do you do with your pontoon? Do you cover it?" Or I said, "Nah, you'll never go fishing if you cover it. Just leave it uncovered." So his and my boats got baked and wrecked. So I destroyed his boat.
Because he listened to you.
Because he listened to me. Exactly. And then I felt really bad because I actually went over there and looked at it the other day. There's no upholstery left. It's gone. So then a storm finished mine off, right? Just finished it off. Yeah. I mean, just bent everything and dented. I ended up getting a new pontoon, but not the motor. So I put the old motor on the new boat. Then the old motor pooped out. Or no, that got wrecked by another storm or a tornado. A big piece of somebody's dock flew and hit my motor and bent it in half. So then we got a new pontoon. Okay, so you have to cover it. Well, it's an hour job to cover it and uncover it. So you don't ever want to go fishing.
That's true.
Never. I thought, I'm going to build a raft.
Build a raft, take it out there once in a while, throw it in there.
Just jump
on the raft.
Put it on there, 2 seats.
Hang out, get a kayak. You have a kayak?
Yeah, I've got 4 kayaks.
Those are fun too.
Yeah.
Kayaks are good times.
Yeah, they are.
Raft.
But they're even a lot of work too, because if you let them sit, they get full of bugs and spiders and dirt and crap and water, and then you got to power wash them or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like I always wanted a boat I could just get in.
Just use it when you want it, not to have any maintenance costs.
No maintenance.
Of your time or anything else like that.
But it's an eyesore, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's so bad, Yvette goes. She was looking at it last night going, I don't really think this is kind of janky.
Do you have life insurance, Doug?
Yeah.
That's probably what she asked you.
She said it was janky.
Janky.
Janky. Whatever that means.
That means it's really bad.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So you're going to park that behind our house? I like, yeah.
Why not?
Pretty janky looking.
There go the property value.
You know,
There comes the property value.
Exactly. She's like, you can't do that. So anyhow, okay, that's enough of my raft. So what else? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so this winter is never going to go away. So I'm never even going to get to use my damn raft.
Right? You think that you're going to be able to use your raft? I laugh in your face. Never. Opening fishing will happen. The only good part about what will be is we can use 2 lines.
So yesterday, Popular Science sent me an email. And in the email was this thing about hammerhead worms. Do you know what the hell? I don't know
the hell a hammerhead
exactly.
worm is.
I'm like, okay, what's this? So I do my Dougie reading, start going down the wormhole. I went down the wormhole. Perfect. God, you're witty, Joel.
Hey, man. That's why you pay me the big bucks.
I'll give you 2 demerits for that wit.
2 demerits.
Demerits. Yeah, because
just 2.
You made me and Alex look dumb because you were so witty. It was so quick.
That's okay.
Anyhow, so there's a hammerhead worm, and I swear to God, it's got a big black hammerhead on it, a black head, a black tail. They're toxic and they're immortal. They do not die.
They're toxic and they're immortal. They live forever.
Yes.
So the hammerhead that you find, worm, is the same hammerhead that was around since the dawn of time.
Correct. No. What are you talking, Donna?
You just said they're immortal.
Oh, yeah, I got you. They're immortal, meaning that they don't die.
Now they're immortal.
No, they don't die. Okay, Joel, I'll send you one, and you don't
need to send me a worm. I'm good.
In the mail.
I'll send you one, and you cut it up into 1,000,000 pieces. You'll have 1,000,000 worms.
And you're saying that if you cut it up, the individual sections will continue to
little tiny section can grow a whole new worm.
A whole new worm. Okay. So that's their way of reproduction.
So that'd be like you shaving your beard off and suddenly there's 8 million Joel Sturgises.
We would so take over the world.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
That'd be awesome. Look at the things that get done.
Yeah, you trim your toenail and then suddenly there's another Joel Sturgis flying around over there.
That'd be horrible, though. The world could not handle that, Doug.
So
the world is not ready.
Yeah. So anyhow, so they're immortal, toxic. They're 12 inches long. They're populating the southern USA. They're just going crazy.
When you say toxic,
do
you mean lethal toxic to humans, or do you just mean, mildly?
Joel, you know me. I'm not going to read the whole damn article.
I know. I understand you won't.
I can't.
But now I need to know how toxic we're talking.
I can't focus that long.
Gee, great.
Just toxic. Okay, I read toxic, and that's
just don't put it in your mouth.
Yeah, just don't eat them.
If I read toxic, I'm not touching it. I'm not eating it. Done. I don't need to know anymore.
David, immortal, you make us sound like the worms are going to win us out.
Like that story, they should like this video.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like you only got 4 likes right now. Come
Alex,
on, guys.
Yeah. Is there any way to look up the hammerhead worm?
Absolutely.
Share the screen. Okay. But anyhow, there's now more than 6,500 I like the word non-indigenous.
Invasive species.
Invasive, like, oh my God, animals that do not frickin' belong here.
Yeah.
And plants and that doesn't, I don't even think that even includes the bugs. I mean, could you only imagine then the viruses?
Oh,
Because there's invasive viruses.
Of course there is. Yeah.
No,
You're right. There is.
Yeah. Okay.
Horrible.
Like
Never ends.
when we had Ebola here, that was invasive.
Yep.
Didn't originate here.
Oh my good freaking Lord.
What the hell is that? Oh, oh my God, that's an electron microscope picture of them.
That is the ugliest
I did
thing
not see that.
I have ever seen in my life.
Is that really true, Alex?
Yes.
That is disgusting.
Worm. They get 12 inches long. Look at the tongue. There it is.
Oh
my God.
Lord. They get 12 inches long, you said.
Yes.
And they're in the southern United States.
They have no natural enemies, and they apparently stomp out. I didn't read it. I'm kind of making this up now, but they stomp out the night crawlers and angles.
See, there's just
worms
one more reason, Doug, to live where it gets 40 below zero.
Exactly.
Boom, right there. Nothing up here is trying to kill us.
But we always bitch about it.
We do, but then you see something like that, you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
We live in a horribly unhospitable area.
Could you imagine using those for bait with that tongue?
Oh, good
it looks
Lord.
like Gene Simmons.
It looks like Gene Simmons on a bad day.
Jesus. Good job. Ooh, I'm glad I didn't see that. Okay.
Imagine waking up and seeing that thing.
No. And then there's, which affects me, there's like those Asian carp, and I don't know what they call them. They're Asian carp.
Yeah.
But they like flop. They fly out of the water and slap you in the head.
Yeah. Well, maybe you. I mean, they hit you in the head.
If you're driving 20 in a boat and it comes out and hits you right in the head.
Oh, you're going to have a bad day.
You're going to have a really bad day.
It's not going to be good, especially if it's a couple pounds. You're hitting this thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be bad.
Oh, my God. It says that they can jump 10 feet in the air in response to rocks thrown in the water, passing trains, geese taking off from the water, or just when they're unexpectedly find themselves in a tight place. So they also jump at the sound of outboard motors, often landing in boats and sometimes striking the passengers.
Wow, those are those flying fish. No, they're not. Well, they're not the flying fish.
Jump.
It's a different species.
Yeah, and nobody's ever eradicated them. Once they take over, that's the end of it.
If you ever want to see something really ugly, get an eel pout. They are about the ugliest.
They're not
fish.
invasive.
No, they're not. No, but they're just ugly.
But they're ugly. Yeah, they'll wrap around your arm when you try to take them off.
They will.
But they're I was up in Lake of the Woods and we caught a big, huge one. Huge one. I mean, this thing was like the eel pooch.
Yeah, did you keep it? They are good eating.
I don't remember.
They taste good.
God, I didn't. I think I was with Ron Shera. I don't know. I was the camera guy.
You were.
I didn't get to fish.
Yeah. The camera guys never have fun.
Okay. So then there's the zebra mussels, which are really
full of them.
Yeah, but they actually, I mean, there's certain lakes like Lake St. Clair and Lake Erie that were really badly polluted. It cleaned up all the pollution.
Yeah.
And the fisheries back now. Totally back. I mean, I guess Lake St. Clair, which is real near Chicago, and you can imagine it's kind of in the inner city. It's surrounded by buildings. I was talking to Al Linder. He said, man, that's like one of the nicest, cleanest lakes ever.
So that might be a good byproduct of that particular invasive species is they do clean up the pollution.
Right. But
they stifle everything else.
But there's no good byproduct of a freaking hammerhead worm.
No, and those zebra mussels, if you see them, thousands of them will attach to things.
But the problem is so many of these things come here because the government gets a big idea. They go, oh, we got the so-and-so killer, crawdad wasp. Okay, let's bring in the killer crawdad ladybug, kill the crawdad wasp. And then that one ends up being worse than the damn crawdad wasp.
That's true. That is true. They don't really think it through very well.
It's like, when has the government ever done anything correctly?
Right? Whatever happened to Murder Hornet? You don't hear about them anymore.
Oh, they're out there murdering.
They're out there right now with their
Oh,
knives
guarantee.
and they're murdering.
Sure. Oh, yeah. One will probably get me while I'm out in my raft. Probably bite a hole in my raft.
After you get hit in the head with a carp.
Yeah, it'll be a double whammy. It'll be what they call a whack F.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I do.
It's kind of funny.
I do.
Those are funny videos. The whack Fs.
Oh my good Lord, Doug.
Okay. So we have the zebra mussels, and they're cleaning up. Apparently they came into Lake Erie like in the 80s.
Yeah, they've been around a little while.
And people gave up Lake Erie for dead, and then it just came back.
Yeah.
Okay, Lake St. Clair the fishery is 5 times better than it was.
Doug, they really want to see the raft.
They really want your raft, Doug.
We'll have to. Yeah, I got a picture of it. There's sort of
it's
kind of janky.
Well, is that the new
I'll
word of
send
the
it
week?
to you, Alex, and then I'll
Okay.
send my janky raft to you, and then you can put the janky raft up. Who wants to see my janky raft? Nobody
Everybody.
wants to see.
The world wants to see
the raft.
Oh my
your
God.
janky raft.
This is bad. What does the word janky mean? What does it mean?
Not very good.
Yeah, slang. It's not
Okay.
good, man.
It's a little deflated in this picture. So messages to Alex. There we go. That's a side view of my janky raft. It's all put together with like plastic little clamps, and it's kind of cool, but it's really wobbly.
Yeah. How wide is it?
Like it's scary wobbly. Like I stood on it last night, and I thought I was going to go.
You're not in the water yet.
No, I know. I thought I was going to go through the planks. It scared me. Anyhow, here, I'll send you another one, Alex. Here, this one's good. Here you go, Alex.
All right, we get one good one.
No, I got another one there for you. Okay. So anyhow, we have invasive ants. We have the brown tree snake. That doesn't sound fun. The
None of them
Burmese
are fun.
python would not be fun if they bite you. I mean,
They'll eat you. Burmese
Those get
pythons.
20 feet long.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
they'll
they
get-
got teeth.
They'll eat you.
They won't poison you when they bite you, but their
No.
teeth go backwards.
Yeah, you're talking about Burmese pythons.
Yeah.
They'll wrap around you and constrict you.
And then we have feral pigs everywhere. They're moving into Canada even.
Everywhere. They're everywhere.
They destroy.
What
the
we're getting
environment.
now up here, where I am, and I'm in the northern part of Minnesota, is wild turkeys again.
Oh, but
we
they're,
never.
but they're not
Tons.
invasive. But they're not
Tons.
invasive.
No, they're not. But they were hunted to basically extinction.
I know, but isn't it cool?
It
I
has been
remember
great.
going. Okay, I used to go to the Black Hills with Ron Shera. And by the way, we're going to have Ron Shera on in June 1st, I think. He's coming on our show. But we used to go to the Black Hills, and I was just a camera guy, right, to film people turkey hunting and do the interviews for his show. And that was like the only place in the whole country there were turkeys.
Yeah.
Wild
At
turkeys.
that time, yeah.
That was it.
Now they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. It's amazing. It's amazing what a little bit of wildlife management and love will do.
Sure. Bring back species that were eradicated from an area.
All right,
Oh
here we
my
go.
God, that's the raft. You got a seat on it, I see. And
Okay, go to the next one.
oh, that is.
See, these panels of aluminum are quite thin. I'm thinking
Yeah.
on beefing them up.
Well, where did you get your plans from to build this raft?
From just buying parts.
Your head. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Do you want to know the truth?
I do want to know the
It's
truth.
a kit.
Yeah.
It's a janky kit.
That kit was probably made in China.
Yes,
And
it was.
Yeah.
But I'm adding all my own, I'm doing some janky stuff to it, apparently. I'm doing things that shouldn't be done to it. Okay.
You gotta mod it.
I'm modding.
should.
Highly
You should mod
modding.
it.
So anyhow, how much time we got? Oh, okay.
3 minutes.
So do you know what kudzu is, Joel? That's a plant, but
I have heard of it. Yeah.
it's like taking over the South. Like
Yeah.
choking everything. Kudzu.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Did you know that tumbleweed is a is a imported plant. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
The tumbleweed.
The tumbleweed that you
imported
see all over the
flaxseed
place.
From Russia.
Leave it to Russia to give us tumbleweed.
Exactly. And it represents frontier areas. Yeah, but it's an invasive species from Russia. Where did Alex go?
Alex left. He had enough.
Just left. Okay.
He's like, screw you guys. I'm leaving.
Got sick of the stories.
Like, I'm out of here.
Oh my God. The common starling is an invasive species. I didn't know that. It was brought in here as in the 19th century as part of an effort to bring all species mentioned in Shakespeare's works to the United States.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that years ago, at one point.
Oh my
years
God.
ago, that was an effort that they were doing, which is not working
so
out very
weird.
well.
I mean, that's just so weird.
It makes no sense.
People forget about the African bees.
Yes, the African bees, the killer bees.
One of the worst ones we all heard about.
The Africanized.
We thought we were all going to, I was convinced.
They're radicalized.
I was convinced, Joel, I was going to die. I was convinced Alex would never have made it to his ripe old age of 50 because of Africanized bees.
50?
50. Yeah, he's ripe
he's
old
not
age.
50.
Seems like it to me.
Alex is not 50 years old.
I am indeed 50, Joel. I just take a lot of vitamins.
Then you look really damn good.
Yeah, he looks great, doesn't he?
He looks awesome.
I got a Bowflex.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't think. I mean, literally, remember that though? How everybody panicked.
I do.
Over the
Africanized, radicalized bees. Yeah.
They were going to kill everybody.
They had ideology and everything.
Yeah, the
swarms. A manifesto of attacking. Yeah.
Yep. And then things like the hemlock woolly Ajagid.
They should bring back the woolly mammoth.
What the heck is the Ajagid?
While we're at it, bring back the woolly mammoth, maybe the T-Rex. You know, bring back a few things.
Did you hear about my Aldachidge or whatever the hell you said?
Yeah, I heard that.
I don't even know what it's a little insect apparently. I don't know what it is.
I think we got to go though soon, Doug.
No, we don't.
Well, we have a guest that we got to talk to.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm dropping it.
Scott Tompkins, everybody, when we come back. So
of the Bigfoot Mapping Project.
Right, the Bigfoot Mapping Project.
Yes.
It'll be a good time.
All right, guys. So I'm going to introduce Scott Tompkins of the Bigfoot Mapping Project. He is based in Houston, Texas, and he's the founder of the Bigfoot Mapping Project. And it is fueled by multiple encounters while hiking and hunting over the years in both his hometown of Beacon, New York, and the Texas wilderness. He aims to leverage technology and crowdsourcing to enrich the field of Bigfoot research. It's driven by the desire to protect and learn about an undiscovered species. Scott uses his analytical skills to share new maps and information with the world's Bigfoot community. So let's all welcome Scott aboard.
Hey, Scott, how you doing,
Hi,
man?
Guys. You know, I could have stayed in the green room there for a while and listened all about the kid, whatever Doug was trying to say.
Oh, talk about things that want to murder us.
Yeah, okay. The bug. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to it. It's called the Adelgid. I can't even read it. Even with my glasses, I'm blind.
But you introduced us to the hammerhead worm that evidently
it's some kind of caterpillar.
Demise.
Scott, it's a caterpillar.
I heard. Oh, yikes! Yeah,
that is an ugly, ugly beast, is it not?
You know,
coming
if I hadn't showered before I came on the show,
garden near you.
Yeah,
Scott,
that could easily be me.
It's just the ugliest thing I've ever seen. It's right out of
me in the morning.
Movie. Couldn't say. So anyhow, it's good to meet you, Scott.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I purposely did not want to really delve deep into what you were doing because I wanted to hear it all first. Kind of let my curiosity take hold. But all I do know is what you're doing is very important, like extremely important. So tell us about, why don't you just start kind of give us an overview?
Sure. So the Bigfoot mapping projects started as kind of a passion project for using crowdsourcing and GIS, which is my background. I'm a GIS professional by day and a Bigfoot researcher by night. And over the years, I had always had an idea where I just thought, wow, if I could just build a database where people could get all their sightings and information into one place and we could analyze that using GIS, we could really learn a lot. So come 2020 and quarantine, and I had a lot of time on my hands, so I built a website, and the website started to take off. People are using it, and they really seem to like the map and learn from it. So then I built the the mobile app, and that took off too. And I started to build this database, and from that, I started to enrich the data with all kinds of USGS data, environmental data, you name it, and just build these maps and share them on the internet, on Instagram mainly, and just show people what we can do and what we can learn, and hopefully bring some new insights to the field of Bigfoot research.
Gotcha. Cool. First, got to ask you, what the hell is GIS?
Good question. Sorry, I should have said that. It's a geographic information system. So
Okay.
geographic statistics, basically, you might not even realize it, but you use GIS probably every day. Your Google directions or GIS. Anything that ties maps and information, location-based data together is GIS.
Sure. GPS. GIS.
Yep.
Okay,
GPS,
perfect.
GIS, all of it. Yep.
How is that different from like GPS?
So GPS is global positioning and GIS is geographic information. So you take all GPS can be part of a GIS,
Gotcha.
right? It's everything. It's just information that's based on location.
So years ago, for Monster Quest, I did a thing, had a person like yourself take all of the Colorado sightings and then break them out by season through GIS. He used GIS, wizardry, he basically, it would have been something I could have done, probably would have taken me 20 years, but he did it really quick. And it was so cool because you could see by season, all the sightings happened, in the winter in the low elevations, and over the summer was in the higher elevations. And it was so important because it shows you we're not dealing with spurious information. We're dealing with a real animal that's moving.
There's I've done a few maps where I've taken wildlife corridor data and overlaid Bigfoot sightings on it, and the intersection is uncanny. I mean, you can see that these sightings happen right along wildlife corridors, prominent wildlife corridors, and hubs where the wildlife tends to congregate. So you can see how they travel in between these hubs, and you can't make that up. That's real scientific data that nobody else, to my knowledge, has tied to Bigfoot sightings. So that's one of my favorite things that's come out of using GIS is being able to take real wildlife studies that apply to similar mammals, for example, or other migrating animals or seasonal behaviors, etc., and tying Bigfoot behavior to that, to proven studies, since we don't necessarily have the benefit of being able to study Bigfoot yet, right? So it's really
But you are. It's akin to having a radio collar on one. It's
it's showing migration patterns too.
Yeah.
I mean, following the wildlife. I mean, it's showing us the possible migration patterns.
So it's really exciting. It's fun.
Wildlife, and so that's cool.
So I've got a question for you. I've got a million of them, but have you been really interested in the correlation between sightings and waterways?
Yes, actually, I started working on a map. There's riparian corridors, which is riparian is just another term for like hydrography or areas that have water flowing through it.
Right.
So a riparian corridor is some data that I actually found in California. And I didn't put it on the map because there's so many areas where there's streams and stuff traveling through that it just overwhelmed the map. But if I zoomed in closer and made maps more specific to local areas, it's almost there's within 500 feet of a riparian corridor or a stream or a creek or a lake. They're almost always near a stream or a stream bed or a seasonal wet area. They're very tied to hydrography. It's amazing how it comes through.
Have you put together any theories as to why, Scott?
Well, I like to hunt, so I try to tie their behavior to things I've observed, and one of the things I have observed is deer, right? So take for a big elusive buck, for example. A lot of them like to be in swampy areas, riverbeds, creeks, and you never see them. They're almost always nocturnal. And, how often do they walk in front of a hunter? Yes, we get a lot of deer. I know hunters shoot a lot of deer every year, but there's always that one, right? So there's that smart one. And Bigfoot is, even smarter. So if a deer can elude us and we know it's there, what can Bigfoot do? So I think they just use cover, and they use dense areas and remote areas that are difficult for us to get to travel, and stay hidden.
Sure. Didn't become a big old buck by being dumb and reckless.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Yep. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
So do you think, though, that there could be a food? I mean, we don't know, but do you think possibly there could be a food source that only grows near the water's edge that they need? That's maybe their staple, kind of their go-to thing,
That's very possible. I've never looked into vegetation or what type of flora rather grow next to the river. But just thinking off the top of my head, there's a lot of tubers and cattails and those types of things that are very edible. So it would make sense that it's a readily available source of food almost year round, right? You can always dig it out. So it would make sense.
That's amazing. How many sightings have you logged into this GIS system?
There's two parts of the database. There's the historical database, which is a aggregation of databases from Kentucky, from Pennsylvania, from the BFRO, from many, many, many different organizations that have been aggregated into one historical database, which stops at 2016. That's as far as I could find as getting historical data sets to get together. And then there's the crowdsourced database that I've created that is where you can contribute your sightings via the website, bigfootmap.com, or the app that I've created. So combining the two, I've got about 8,000 plus sightings, roughly.
8,000.
Man.
That's more. That's 2,000 more than the last. The last number I heard that the most documented that we had was about 6.
Yep, we're almost to 8 on the website.
Wow, that's amazing.
How many of those sightings are near water?
Oh,
8,000.
I mean, obviously, most of them.
8,000.
Most of them,
8,000.
I would say, probably upwards of 80% at least.
Yeah.
Just a guess, right? Ballpark. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a pretty safe guess.
It would be really cool to see what variance there is. Because I'm kind of thinking that every sighting that I've ever taken is always like no farther than 500 yards from water source.
Oh, at the very least, yeah. I mean,
500 yards. I mean, that's not much.
And it doesn't have to be a huge water body either. When you look at the map, you can see that they're close to streams that are tiny, right? As long as there's a source of water, they seem to find it.
Do they seem to prefer lakes or rivers?
From what, and again, I need to, now you're sparking an idea for a new map, but what I've looked at, it's usually streams that they seem to be sighted near. Now, what they prefer, I would love to get inside the mind of a Bigfoot, but where we see them, usually it seems to be near streams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always think of rivers as not where they live, but where they migrate.
Kind of like a highway system.
Freeway. Yeah, it's their freeway. But the streams are where they live. Alex, are you the one that brought that map up?
Yeah.
Can you zoom in, like keep zooming in on a couple of sightings, and so we get really, really close?
There's a good spot near Strawberry, California in the Sierra Nevada that I always like to explore when I'm looking at the map.
Where is that? Is that south or north?
Stanislaus National Forest. You're close to it. See all those white trails? I bet you that's the National Forest. So probably we have the trails in the map too, so you can see, where to hike if you want to go find Bigfoot as well.
Great question from the chat room is the Scottish Wild Man. He writes, question, can you add things like when salmon spawning, rutting season, etc.?
Sure. It would be interesting to see how I could add those layers to the map since they're kind of temporal, but I can add maybe a seasonal layer that kind of updates when things are going on. I have one that's similar to that. It updates based on wildfire boundaries. So if you're out there, you can see current wildfires, and I'd imagine it would just be a live layer like that. That would just be a service that would update.
So just pick one, Alex, one of the actual little Bigfoots, and zoom in as far as you can go versus just jumping around.
You can always type if you're looking for somewhere up at the top left. You can type in a city or something.
Is that as close as we can get?
It's going to be pretty
really in there.
Oh, there you go. See, there's your stream.
Yep.
It's kind of like ding, 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 ding.
Oh yeah, it's going to stay really blurry if you.
Yeah, but we know that's a stream.
Oh, absolutely right. There's a footprint in the stream.
Yep, the river right here.
So if you hit the left-hand side and you want to see what's in the map, like the symbology, the second, it's got like right there, the legend. It'll update and tell you what's in the map while you're looking at it, so you can.
Oh, great! This is really great.
Yeah, isn't that a nice system? Wow.
I like that you're driving actually, because usually I drive these things, but it's great to see take you through it, because that means it's
nice
usable,
to see
right?
A 50-year-old man.
Yeah, 50-year-old guy.
That looks great, by the way.
Yeah, but
you're on
he uses a lot of lotion.
Yeah, you're on like the same cryogenics.
He uses the Buffalo Bill. Oh yeah, he uses the Buffalo Bill lotion.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a filter. He uses one of those TikTok filters, Instagram filters.
But this is actually a great segue if you want to go through some of the features in the map for the folks that are listening.
Yeah, let's do that. Give us a tour.
Sure. So if we start in the left-hand corner, it looks like a location pin. You can actually, if you click that link, it'll open up another window, and you can submit your sighting there, and it'll go right into the map as soon as you submit it. Now So
it's user. You said crowdsource, so people can update this with their own sighting.
Oh, I hope they do.
That's what's real cool, because then it hits the database without having to go through a middleman to post it.
Right. So that's the theory. That's the theory behind crowdsourcing, is that I'm approaching it from a different angle than, for example, a lot of field investigators. I'm hoping that we get enough sightings where the people that might not be being as honest or might not have captured as inaccurate information kind of fall out of the data set.
Yeah.
And we get enough samples where those trends, just by nature of being a commonality, come through, and we can really start to learn based on the standardized data set. Because when things are standardized, you can measure them much better. It's hard to measure abstract paragraphs in a report, right? So if I can filter by these radial buttons that are yes, no, that's helping me, query the database and say, okay, if this sighting happened then, yes. Was it with a parent? No. Okay, filter that out, and here's what I'm looking for. So a standardized data set is really important. That's what this survey captures here. You can log in anytime. It's on the website and the app. And the app is in both iPhone and Android, so it's available to pretty much everyone. The website's free. Everything that's in the app you can get to at the website. Sometimes more, because it's easier to update the website than the app, truthfully. You have to go through a lot to get the app updated. But so this is a really important part of the project. This is probably really the foundation of building the database here. The map is a nice feature, but this is really what matters here, is getting the sightings into the database.
Yeah. Getting them logged in and getting them reported.
How long has this site been up?
This site has been going since March of 2020. So
Okay.
just over a year.
Let's get back into some of the maps.
Sure. Sorry. If you let me talk, I'll keep talking. So
Yeah. So there's a gentleman in England doing not this. He's not a GIS person, but he's a statistician. And David Ellis introduced me to him. Just amazing.
We've actually talked.
You are talking with him.
Squattrometrics. Yep.
Yes. Good for you.
Yep.
Because you two together are very, very important to this whole science.
There's actually another GIS guy in the Pacific Northwest too, Josh, PNW Bigfoot Maps. I can't remember his exact Instagram, but I think it's PNW, and he does a really great job. Everyone's very friendly. That's one of the things about this community. Everyone is very supportive. Nobody's really negatively critical. It's great. I really appreciate that.
Well, is there a way for you to combine your data or download his data into your data and vice versa?
Sure, of course. It depends on what's captured in his as far as lat longs, XYs, or what format it's in. But there's always a way to get data into a map as long as you have a location tied to it, or even maybe a general location. So yeah, it would be great.
What's so cool about what he's doing, which is similar to what you're doing, he's keeping track even of the color. You could say, what color in Humboldt County is the most likely to be sighted? What percentage
That's really
are
interesting.
red? What percentage are black? What in a certain county?
That's
I mean, he can come up with those answers. Just boom, 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 boom.
I hope to be an encyclopedia one day, but still working on it.
This is super cool, though, Scott. This is a game changer in a lot of ways. This is a game changer.
Since we're from Minnesota, can you go to Minnesota, Alex?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things is when people explore their own backyard. They're always surprised, right? What actually is going on in their backyard.
So few sightings been actually reported from here. I could add at least 50 to the map that I know are not on here.
Yeah. I mean, the Superior National Forest is loaded with sightings by Lake Superior.
Yeah.
Just loaded with sightings.
So go along the St. Croix River, go east of where you are, Minneapolis, and then just pick I'm curious how many sightings. See, I don't see a ton. It's right on the Wisconsin. There's one right there, right on the border. So click that and blow it up.
Yep. Some of these websites are dead, right? So they don't maintain the URL anymore.
Gotcha.
So that's actually a good point. If you click one of these sightings and it goes to a dead site, one of the things I tried to do is build it so that it doesn't stay on the Bigfoot mapping website or the map. I try to make sure that you always go back to the source. So if they haven't maintained their website and they let it expire, it just disappears. So
but the data is still there. So at least have the mark.
Yeah. Yep.
So how many sightings, Alex, are along the St. Croix? Because there's literally 20 a year. I mean, I see 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's just a tiny. Now we're down into Iowa there.
Sure.
It's fine.
I'm on my screen now looking to
Hey, Alex, is there a way to copy and paste the URL for the site into our chat box for the folks that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe they can explore their own little backyard, find out what they got going on.
There's always a surprise, right? And it's very interesting. I grew up in New York, and that's kind of what got me started in Bigfoot is, I'm dating myself here. I was about 14, a little over 20 years ago. So my friend and I were out hiking on Mount Beacon, and that's when we saw our first encounter with Bigfoot. It was shaking a tree and roaring, this guttural roar. And from then I was hooked. Like I'd always been outdoors, but that's what got me started on Bigfoot and eventually brought me here to your show.
Man, very cool. Did you how many times have you had an encounter, would you say, like that?
That one time, and the second time was here in Texas. I was hunting during bow season and walking out, just after it was too dark to shoot anymore. And it was very quiet. I wasn't using a flashlight because I could still see. And I was in a river bottom on a county line between Austin and Colorado County, Texas. And when I was walking out, there's feral hogs and stuff. I heard you guys talking about invasive hogs, and they're bad here in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So when I looked to my left, kind of diagonal off my shoulder, there was this dark blob behind like a scrub brush. And I was like, oh man, that's a big hog. I'm just going to stand here, let it kind of do its thing, and then I'll walk back to my truck. But it stood up and it had its, huge shoulders, and its arms were out. It's just broad. And all I could think to say was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so when I literally said, whoa, and it squatted back down. So I was standing there for a second. I was just like, heart beating out of my chest, up in my throat. And in the bravest voice I could muster, which probably didn't sound very masculine, I just uttered like, I see you. And literally, I see you. And it stood up and bolted. And it bolted through briar. Everything here in Texas is just, it'll slice you. It's pointy.
Yeah.
And it just bolted through everything in its path. It didn't move around anything. It just went over it or through it.
Right through it, yeah.
And it was just crashing through a thicket and just breaking branches. And anybody that would have tried to run through that would have fallen and hurt themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just clear. This was, it was quite the encounter. I wish it wasn't as dark as it was, because I would have been able to see more, but I still think I'm very lucky.
That's an amazing encounter. Can you describe the geographic area, since you're a GIS guy? Can you describe the area really, get into some detail.
So
what's there? What plants are there? What food?
Oh, we have all kinds of plants. This is actually just next to a pasture, so it's in a river bottom, and we have.
So it's an edge. So it's an edge area.
It is an edge area. We have like sawgrass and sand plums, stuff like that.
Okay, stop right there. Does anything eat sawgrass? Do you even know? Does anybody in the audience know?
I don't know that.
I've heard that nothing eats sawgrass.
I would believe it.
Yeah, because that's kind of like a razor grass.
Yes.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true. Maybe somebody in the audience can chime in on that and we can get it posted. But anyhow, so sawgrass, continue.
Cattails, because it is along a river.
Okay.
So we've got reedy cattails and a lot of like willow trees and marsh plants. And we have just like, it's a sandy area, so not a ton of other foliage, because the trees really don't root well necessarily in sand. So lots of small trees and just scrub brush, really. What we call it in Texas is just scrub brush. And it's a bottom area. It's just a seasonal river bottom.
Is it kind of a corridor type area?
I would say definitely. It kind of runs between pastures and properties. I call the property that I hunt a pass-through property. So a lot of deer migrate through, and bobcats and coyotes and hogs.
A lot of game trails coming through your property.
A lot.
Yeah.
They'll wear it down just to bare sand, and you can see where they walk.
So what about power line cuts and railroad tracks and other man-made features? Can you talk about those?
Sure. There's some actually pipeline right-of-ways are a lot of big things you'll encounter here in Texas. They call them like senderos or dog legs, stuff like that. And you'll see almost every time I'm driving down a highway, I look down the pipeline right away, there's a deer standing in it, right? There's always wildlife in a pipeline right away. Hogs, deer. It's a great place to find predators like coyotes and bobcats as well. Everything uses that. They're just like us, right? Animals, they want to navigate through the least cost path. They don't want to expend all the energy traveling, because they might need it to escape or whatever, live their life. So they'll naturally navigate towards the easiest way to get through things. And that goes for everything in the woods, right?
Yep. And if you're an apex predator, not only can you travel good, but you got plenty of food.
Right.
So it just makes so
easy movement, plentiful prey. Yeah. Perfect place for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just talked to a guy who had a sighting. He's going to come on next week and just tell his story in the beginning of our show. But he had a sighting right behind a movie theater.
Really?
Sure, it's right behind, but it's all forest.
Okay.
It's all
That's
forests
crazy.
and
That's
ponds and
crazy. Yeah.
swamps. But when he tells people that, they roll their eyes.
Mhm.
But he knows what he saw. He saw it extremely well, like you. It threw something at him on top of everything else. It's one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard.
Little insult and injury here. You're gonna see me, so I'm gonna whip this at you. You know.
Right.
Yes. But the point that these things seem to be adapting just as well as the coyotes are.
Well, that the data set kind of makes sense when you look at the data. High population areas tend to have a lot of sightings. So
Right.
it just implies to me, at least, and perhaps I'm a little biased towards believing in Bigfoot, but that implies to me that Bigfoot can live right next to us and we might not even realize it. Just like a lot of, a good example is mountain lions in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
They're all over the place, right next to people all the time. And how often do you really see them? More now, because there's probably very little space for them to go, but they're there.
Yeah, they're only getting seen if they want to be seen.
Right. Right.
You know, that's the thing.
So John Montoya said that muskrats or water rats will eat the sawgrass, and that's true. I've even filmed them munching on it. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Okay.
but
Just learned something new. Thank you.
so there's a lot of little ones that probably like muskrats.
Mhm.
They'll eat it. And of course, that's nature's nachos for a coyote or a Bigfoot, or
It sure is.
it's like.
I like that phrase. I might use that.
Yeah.
Nature's nachos.
Yeah.
On the go food.
I just added that to my vocabulary for sure.
Anyhow, yeah, and janky. Don't forget about
Janky.
janky.
I looked it up. It was like while I was waiting in the green room, I was like, what does janky mean? It means in an unfavorable condition or unreliable condition.
Well, that would be your raft.
That's my raft. Yeah, exactly.
You should
getting
get little
worse.
letters and just paint janky as the
The
boat
USS
name.
Janky
Yeah.
on it or something.
And my raft is getting worse and worse the more crap I add to it. It just keeps getting more and more janky.
It looked good in
Okay.
the pictures.
No, that's when I just started. You don't even want to see it now. Okay. So this area, was this the area that you had your sighting in, Scott? Special compared to the surrounding areas, or let's say 20 miles away? What was
Actually,
special?
Really, the only special thing about it is that there's a river running through it. Actually, there's a bald eagle pair that nest too.
Okay.
So it must be plentiful, right? If bald eagles are raising their young there,
And they eat fish.
right? They eat fish and mainly fish, actually. So it must be plentiful. It's a big sign for abundant food if eagles are nesting there. So eagles, they probably nest a couple hundred yards from where I saw the Bigfoot, actually.
Can you describe the depth of the stream or river or whatever?
Sure, it varies.
What's in it?
During the rainy flooding times, it could be 18 feet deep, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
It'll break its banks and it'll be really deep, but that's temporary.
Yeah.
Most of the year, I'd say it's probably waist deep at its deepest channel.
Which would be really good for hunting crayfish, amphibians, from like frogs to, just everything, catching fish.
Everything.
If you can wade in it, you have a better chance of catching fish.
Yeah, and here in the South, we have abundant crawfish, and there's huge freshwater clamshells in this riverbed. So there are a ton of things to eat. If you dump me out there, I could last probably a really long time.
Yeah.
And how far would I have to drive to go to a gas station from the spot you saw your Bigfoot?
Believe it or not, you would have to drive 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So
10 minutes.
it's a pretty decent distance from any kind of civilization.
Yes, the ranch. Just to give you an idea, the ranch that I hunt on, and I hunt a small portion of it. Texas is 95% privately owned property. So to find a place to hunt, if you don't own a place where you can hunt, you have to get what's called a hunting lease out here, and a lot of places do. Like in the South, Louisiana does it. It's very common. But so I lease 200 acres from a rancher who ranches 11,000. So it's square miles of ranches out there mainly, and they grow wheat, they raise cattle. So it's very sparse.
You ever talk to any of the witnesses out there, where you were? Talk to other people asking if they've seen anything in that area.
I talked to the rancher where I hunt, and he's seen humongous predators as far as Bigfoot. He said there's weird stuff out there, but this was when we were just getting to know each other, so I think he was
I
tiptoeing
think he was
around.
holding back.
Yeah, just a
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
So, I mean, next time we go visit, I might have to bring a bottle of whiskey with me or something. And
There you go.
You know what's funny? When you ask somebody who you think has had an encounter, you just kind of suspect it. They always get a little bit almost red-faced. They kind of smirk or smile a little bit, and then they kind of change the topic.
Yeah, he did the same thing. I said, "Oh, ever seen anything weird out here?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." And then he's like, "Oh, yeah. Back in the 70s, we had huge bobcats out here and huge 50, 60-pound coyotes,
Yeah.
And
Well,
but
that's a hell of a coyote.
he did pause, but he never really has said anything. I do have my suspicions because
Yeah, that's interesting.
he did mention that nobody hunts the property, part of the property where I hunt, but there are very old tree stands there. So that are just falling apart. So I wonder if whoever used to hunt that spot, had a similar encounter like I did and just got a lot of hunters after they see something like that won't go back. That's just,
Yeah.
I still get a little,
It freaks them out. Yeah.
a little nervous while I'm out there, but yeah.
What's so cool is, and I consider you a scientist for sure, Scott, but there's more and more people like yourself or academics who have a skill that they can apply to this mystery. And a lot of them aren't as willing to be as public as you are, but there's more and more of them. There's growing numbers. It's encouraging.
I think I owe it to people who have become more public, the fact that I'm even comfortable to do what I'm doing. But it's really interesting. I work at a very, very intelligent organization. And I say it because almost everyone there has a master's or a PhD. And I'm telling them about my Bigfoot site, and I thought they would dismiss it because that's kind of what academia and mainstream scientists do, but they love it. Everyone's walk. They have my stickers on their, Yeti cups, and they're very supportive and they love it. So it's really a nice feeling to see people that are at that level above what I'm at.
Yeah. Now looking down the nose at you, like,
yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Where they're supportive and maybe even if they see something, they're going to come forward and talk to you about it.
They ask a lot of questions. A lot of one of the things that I've noticed through this project so far is I've also learned a lot about wildlife, right? It could be because I'm spend time out there. I'm looking at data that comes from like the EPA, the USGS, various wildlife organizations like the Florida Wildlife Department, right? All different places. And I'm forced to through wanting to learn more about Bigfoot, about learning what else is out there. And people ask a lot of questions. They just want to know. So it's really a nice way to interact with folks and not just talk about the weather, right?
Well, that also shows you the way species are moving too, because I know Helton over here, is talking about where he grew up. There was no bobcats, and now there's all sorts of them. So the animals are moving, and they're moving into locations they never were before.
Right. That's a good idea for a map, is mapping invasive species and how they've migrated. It would be a good model for how Bigfoot might have moved. That's a great idea. You guys gave me a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. We actually, for all we know, their populations are increasing because of some invasive species that they're
Hogs have babies year round, right?
Hogs are like the rats of the pig world, right? Those big feral hogs. They breed so fast,
right?
There's so many of them.
A great photographer that follows me on Instagram. Her name is Brooke Little Bear. She has a great theory about bears overlapping with Bigfoot, and I think it could apply to hogs too. A lot of people are like, well, if a bear could live, Bigfoot could live there. Well, if hogs can live there, I think Bigfoot can live there as well. And I think, to her point, that I don't want to take credit for her point because it's a genius point. I think, and I agree with her, that Bigfoot could use these hogs and bears as camouflage per se, right? Where, they can travel these same places and people just, assume, I saw a bear. I saw a hog. It's so common to see something like that. You might not even realize what you're looking at just in a split second encounter and explain it away. very
Yeah,
easily.
A, it's cover, and B, it's food source. Those hogs would be a
Both,
great
right?
food source.
They are. I enjoy them. They're a great food source.
Yeah, they are.
Bacon lovers unite.
We didn't get through the rest of the map. Did you guys want to see anything else on the
Yeah,
map?
we'd love to. Why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a tour, though?
Sure. I
You
would
can
love to.
you can have Alex drive if you want, but you can.
Yeah, I'd love to be a what do they call it? A backseat
The
driver?
tour guide.
Yeah.
Sure, tour guide's better. Let's see. So one of the cool things we've integrated into the map, if you jump over, yep, you're on the legend. So you can see as you zoom in, that legend will update with what's in the map. So it's a dynamic legend. That way it doesn't get overcrowded, and it really only applies to what you see in your screen. And the symbology in the map, I think, is one of the most important things about a map. You should be able to look at a map and digest it really quickly. You should be able to get a lay of the land and get a snapshot view, a digestible view easily without having to think too much is what a good map should show you. So it should be simple and clear, right? So there's a lot of stuff I want to put in the map, but I refrain because it would just be too busy and you wouldn't get good information out of it.
Yeah, too cluttered.
It would just get overwhelming. So if you see on the left, you can see a sighting is yellow and audible is a green stereo speaker symbol. The blue footprint is a track sign. And then if it wasn't defined, I just made that orange. So, it's just, and then the new sightings that are reported using the crowdsourcing app are red. So that's those are sightings reported after the site went live. So reported after 2020, and they could be from various years, but it's just when they were reported is how they're classified.
Sure.
One of the cool features in the map that I don't talk enough about is the blue Bigfoot. I don't know, Alex, if you can find a blue Bigfoot symbol on the map. That guy up to your northwest. An actual blue Bigfoot, not a footprint there.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Maybe I need to change the color. This is good live feedback.
Okay. Here we go. No, I just missed what you said here. Okay, here's some blue ones.
Okay, so if you click the blue Bigfoot and you go to the more info URL there, that's actually a phenocam. So phenology is a study of seasonal change. And one of the cool things about this through the University of New Hampshire is they have cameras out there taking pictures, 700 of them all over the world, that keep a database of this camera has how many pictures, image count, 19,000 pictures you could look through, right, of the same area. So you can just explore for Bigfoot and look through for things from home, right?
Yeah, right.
Or learn about the area if you haven't been there. It really is very interesting, I think, what you can incorporate to use in studying Bigfoot. And a lot of these cameras are located, luckily, close to Bigfoot sightings. So I think it's really a good tool that hopefully people will use. I try to only put things in there that I'll use, right?
Yeah, so that's actually usable for the field researcher.
Exactly. You can see what it's like at a different time of year. Read when the sighting that was close to it happened, and then go to the photo database and see what the environment looked like. So it's really, I think, a good resource that hopefully gets used more.
How's the feedback been from the Bigfoot? You've said it's been very positive.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. People are really great. They have a lot of good questions, and I think being able to look at Bigfoot sightings on a map view like this really inspires them to get out and
maybe
explore
go
on their own. And I've had people message me and say, I'm going on vacation to this place so-and-so, and I'm only going there because I looked at your map. So we're gonna go squatching.
Very cool.
So Alex, go over to like South Dakota, very arid Montana area. What's really interesting is that if you do have any sightings there, they're going to be literally all focused around one river or stream.
Yep.
You see that river basin there, the watershed there. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
It's either that's probably a headwaters area. Headwater areas where the water is very clean and very drinkable, and usually doesn't have any runoff in it. It's interesting.
one of the other things I do with this data, I don't know if you guys want to look at the maps I've made that extend beyond just the map viewer, but I take this data set and I apply some analysis to it behind the scenes here with like ArcMap, which is a software I use. And one of the ones that I really like talking about is the Nevada cave system map. I think it's really, I can send you the link, or if you just go to the Instagram.com/Bigfoot map, or I can share my screen. Maybe that would be easier.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I share my screen here. Okay, you're gonna go to it. Cool.
Or no, you if you, I mean, I can certainly do it, but if you want to add
share screen.
Yeah, why don't you make there you go. You can get rid of us, Alex.
I'm not quite sure. Oh, there it is. Share. Perfect. Share screen. Share screen with 2 monitors. All right. I'm going to share my monitor here. Here we go. Can you guys see the screen?
Here, I'll add it now.
Perfect.
There would be.
Awesome. So a lot of the maps that I share are using this data set that we're looking at in the viewer, and I've made one here where we explore the Nevada cave system, right?
Okay.
So here you can see where if you took this brown cave and the heat map for cave concentration off of the map, you might think, geez, these Bigfoot sightings are pretty sparse. They're not near a lot of rivers or national forests or anything like that. But when you throw this cave system on there, now the map makes sense, right? Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Look how close they are to these cave systems. So I guess that's one of my points is by gathering all this data, we can start to bring in external data that we might not even really think that would have implications to understanding more about Bigfoot and start to drill down. Like, here's another good one. Tree canopy cover, right? So look how the sightings overlay with tree canopy.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So we can start to build these insights, and this is at the whole country level, right? So when we get, really good data locally, for like Florida has a great database.
Mm-hmm.
When we start to build these sightings, and look, here's another corridor one, you can start to see Bigfoot intersects with these corridors. These are real least cost analysis corridors that are built by SECUS, and I shout them out here, Southeast Conservation Adaptation Strategy. And these are professionals from all different organizations that have come together to do this study, and I found their data set, and I read about it, and I realized, wow, this is perfect. Let's look at how Bigfoot intersects with their data set that they've verified and really put a lot of effort into. And the blue dots that you see are sightings that intersect with this verified wildlife highway, right? So I mean, the list goes on.
That's interesting.
It's another good one is where's the overlap between brown bears, black bears, and Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Right? So the black area that's a bit of a shadow in the screen is black bear range, and then you see the little brown areas, and that's brown bear range. And you can see, okay, well, this tells me, Bigfoot and black bears and brown bears really, really do overlap. Yeah. But Bigfoot extends well beyond the black bear range. So why?
So there was somebody, Scott, that actually tried to debunk the whole Bigfoot mystery by saying that all the sightings are black bears, and so if the Bigfoot data matches the black bear data, that proves that everybody's seen black bears.
Right. And I
kind of backfired, though.
I respectfully disagree with their opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, just being out, for example, I've spent time in Washington. My brother lives up there in Tacoma, so we'll hike a lot and go grouse hunting and stuff. And so we're pretty remote, and I've never seen a bear in Washington, right? And I think there's about, if I'm not incorrect, please let me know in the comments if I am. I think there's about 30,000 black bear in Washington alone. Spread that out over thousands of square miles. Yeah. That just because the range is on the map, that's where maps can sometimes be misleading too, right? People see this and they just assume black bears are rampant through these ranges. And they're not, right? So this is just a geographical area. It's not
range of them, where they have been seen. Yeah.
It's not a concentration. So
Scott, there were a couple questions in the chat.
Sure.
You know that blue Bigfoot, we pulled up that cam. It's called the Phenocam.
Yep.
Are those set on timers when the photos are taken?
Yes. So those photos are at it probably varies per camera, right? But those photos are taken at specific increments so that it's consistent for the study, right?
Okay.
So if you take a photo same day, same time every day for every day, you can see the incremental change between the seasons. So that's what phenology is. So yeah, to answer that question in a short way, yes, those are taken at specific intervals.
And then Tim had a question about, are you able to access the BFRO reports that aren't published to the public?
I wish. No. I'm not I haven't reached that upper echelon of Bigfoot researching yet, but hopefully I can one day.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to ask, Scott.
True. Yeah, if anybody has a connection to anybody there, please.
We'll hook you up.
Please, yeah.
Because to me, even if they have a separate map that just says sightings that have not been not been published or have not been investigated properly and qualify it,
put the pin on the map.
If they qualify it and then give you all that data and you do a separate map with it, I would think they would be very supportive of that.
Right. And I'll respect I very much respect data ownership, right? I always try and do, I cite where the data comes from.
Yeah.
I make sure people get their credit. So, and I try not to use it in any way that they don't want it to be used. That's really important because I own a data set here and I wouldn't want somebody misrepresenting it. Right. So, yeah, if they were open to that, I'd be ecstatic to be able to work with them on that. Real briefly, just to change the subject, I'm a little ADD. I apologize, but I saw this as I was scrolling through, and you guys were asking about rivers and stream networks. So this is a good example. This is Kentucky. So what I've done is I've split it into two tiles here, and I've created a DEM elevation map. DEM is digital elevation model. This is all like LiDAR data. Light laser something detection and ranging is what it stands for. I can't remember what the I stands for off the top of my head, and I should know that. But so they create an elevation model, and from that, I've also overlaid the hydrography in the area, and you can start to see. I mean, look where the sightings are. They're all within a short distance of a stream. Look at this, correlation that you start to see. And they're all, like I was saying, smaller.
Can we zoom in a little bit more?
Sure. I can zoom in on if my computer wants to cooperate. Oh, no, it doesn't want to cooperate. Maybe it's because I'm sharing my screen. I'm not sure.
I made it worse.
I'm really techie. I'm embarrassed that I'm just my
this is amazing.
Not cooperating.
No, this is just Instagram being fussy.
Yeah. Zuckerberg doesn't like us looking for big.
Yeah, there it is.
But yeah, so I mean, this is what we can start to do.
It's so amazing. I mean,
share their sightings, right? And it's the best part, I think, about like you were saying, people get a little bashful when you ask them about their sightings, so they might not want to have an investigator come to their house and walk out in the field with them. But through the survey we have with the Bigfoot Mapping Project, all I capture is your email, and you have to agree to a disclaimer that says you won't abuse or put anything on the internet that's not supposed to be there. And if you do, I'm going to go to the proper authorities just to protect everyone. But that's all you have to share. I don't share it with anyone. It's more for verification, make sure you're a real person. Or if I need to follow up, sometimes people don't adjust the location in the survey and it shows up in the middle of Africa, and I know that's unlikely.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up just to make sure the data is correct, but that's it. So it's a little more anonymous. It's a little more safe, low risk, and people, might feel more comfortable that way. Here's another one here, forest type. I've really learned a lot from this one. Like the sightings, and I did a follow up here. How many sightings appear in the different type of forest? And I think,
gotcha.
Right. So we have 1,200 sightings in oak and hickory. And what's in oak and hickory? Acorns, right?
Yeah.
So humans can't eat acorns without cooking them, but deer do. They love them. So
what about coniferous?
let's see. So that would be like a shortleaf pine
Douglas
forest.
fir or the fir?
A Douglas fir, yep.
Yep.
We have 593. We have spruce too, as well. Fir, spruce, 200. So if you add them together, it's about 800, a little over.
Yep.
And you see the huge concentration in the pine forest, right?
Yeah.
I believe it's the Douglas fir actually up here. Yeah, 593. And that was something I learned. I think I say it over here. The bark is edible, the cambium of the bark, and the sap. Native Americans used to eat this sap, and it was the maple syrup, quote unquote, of the Douglas fir. So there's abundant food.
One of the important trees I think that would be really cool would be tamarack. It's a very unique tree.
Mm-hmm.
They grow in swamps. They lose their needles. They're a kind of a pine tree that drops its needles in the winter.
I'm going to stop sharing here just because I don't want to take up the whole time. I don't want to be a rude guest.
No, you're not.
Very
no.
awesome.
Go back. Scott.
Okay. I'm happy to share.
No, this is amazing.
Cool. Well, good. If I start to overstay my welcome, you just let me know. Please, you guys.
You always, I mean, this kind of thing renews everybody's faith in what they believe in or what they're hoping is real.
We can just go through all the different, here's another cool one, right? I try to think of ways that people might not look at the data, right? Or might not have access to different data sets or the software needed to look at these things. And one of the things I got on a kick for was hiking trails, right? People go hiking, they have their sightings. So how often does this happen? What's the proximity? And one of the ones I did was hiking trails in the Upper Peninsula for all the Yoopers out there. So these are the white trails are all hiking trails, right? Or various like 2-track roads or things like that. And you can start to see like, look, they correspond. This is Bigfoot, just like we were saying earlier, using the easiest way to travel, just like us. So different things really come through in different maps. Same thing for Colorado, right? There's thousands of miles of hiking trails in Colorado. And, it's hard to see at this scale, but when you zoom in, they're just right on top of the hiking trails. So it's really, really interesting what you can start to pull out. Another one that I did that was kind of a little bit out there was the magnetic anomalies, right? So gravity and magnetic data is captured, which it captures the magnetic signature from formations beneath the surface of the earth. They use it to see and do exploration for like minerals and oil and gas and stuff like that. So I thought it would be a nice comparison.
I was going to interrupt you, Scott. It's funny you brought that up because it wasn't very long ago that me and Blaine, my son, were looking at the magnetic anomalies in certain areas in Minnesota where there's been so many sightings. And there was a correlation in what we found.
Right. It's surprising, but magnetic anomalies don't always correspond to surface features, right? So, for example, look here. This is a high magnetic anomaly area, lower on the scale, but it's still a high value. And it doesn't correspond to where you would think there would be, like the Rocky Mountains full of granite and iron and stuff like that. It's over here where it's not necessarily as mountainous or have a lot of surface features. So it's just a new way to look at what's going on because different animals respond differently to magnetic fields. For example, that's how birds navigate, like the homing pigeon, right? Stuff like that. So always trying to understand things through a different lens, and adding different data helps to do that.
Yeah, and the government has a really cool site because they're studying it too.
Oh yeah,
that's what's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they're spending a lot of money on finding these anomalies.
Well, it means a lot for the government, right? For a lot of different reasons, right? Exploration, developing oil and gas, for example, is one. Where to build things, they need to know subsurface features. There's a lot that goes into understanding magnetic anomalies, right?
Plus, the map also shows the seasons of the year that these people are seeing Bigfoot. Like in the north, it's very cold. Right, they're having sightings when it's 40 below out versus the south. I mean, the migration pattern.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I think I have a map for some of these topics. So this is one of the first maps I did, but you can see, and this is my theory, right? During the winter, they're more spread out. The concentrations of sightings are more spread out. Food is harder to get. That's one of the reasons I would think they would spread out. Spring comes along and they start to, you can see the change, and they start to come back together. They start to concentrate more, specifically, noticeably here in Florida, which down here is a really big hot spot near Ocala. And come summer, which would be like what I would presume is their mating season, right? Just like a lot of other mammals. They're really concentrated in these little pockets together, and this shrinks, and then fall comes and they start to spread out again, right?
Yeah, they start to migrate away from each other at that point.
Yeah. Would you also have to move more to find food? You have to work harder,
right?
In the fall and in the winter. It's super. This is amazing.
This is really exciting.
Shows you how many miles they're covering too, just by looking at that map. The ranges are huge.
Right. And that goes to say, just like what I was saying about the bears, this is a density map. So it does also show the density of sightings, the darker the colors, but the further out you get, the less dense the sightings are. So I would look at this more as a range map, but it does show more concentration. So you can see these really concentrated pockets here where they kind of tend to stay during each season, but it also shows you their full extent of, the range.
This is some super amazing stuff.
I like your theories on them coming together.
Well, that's I didn't have that theory until I started looking at the data, right?
That's cool.
So that's what I'm learning as I go. I just start to look at the data set, and here's another one. Start to become my opinion is evolving as I start to study and learn more, right, with more data sets. And here's a elevation and biome map, right? And you can start to see the higher elevations, and what kind of biome is there, the tree line, where the tree line is, how many sightings are at these biomes and elevations. So, for example, at, let's see, 1,900 meters to 2,200 meters to 2,800 meters, there's 400 sightings. But if you go to the deciduous forest below it here, there's 1,040 sightings, right? So these two together, just like that other map was showing us, have the most sightings together.
Sure.
And then the grassland or desert edge areas, I don't really like calling it desert. I wish I didn't put that there, but these three together really start to show you, this is the livable area for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So,
it looks like they don't necessarily like snow.
Right. They're seldomly there. Or, that could be explained like people are seldomly there too. So, right.
Well, people aren't there to spot them. They're not going to be logging the sighting.
It's tough. It's a double-edged sword, right? So we really only get data from when people have a sighting, so that common sense would say that people need to be there. But that's one of the reasons that I do these wildlife corridor maps, because then you can start to look at and fill in the blanks. Okay, if people see them here and they see them here, how are they getting there, right? So just because there's a void in the map doesn't mean that's not a valuable area. It just means that there hasn't been a sighting there yet. Bigfoot, for example, right here, right? Yeah. This is a great potential area where there could be Bigfoot traveling. We just haven't had a sighting there yet. So we can start to really fill in the void, hopefully, and start to look in between the obvious places.
It would be interesting to do snowmobile trails.
Yes,
sure, to see whether or not they're using them as,
because there's certainly one of the most used areas in the wilderness in the wintertime. It'd be interesting.
It really, there's so many angles. I have so many ideas that I have a little notebook.
Gotta explode.
I know, right? Between my day job and then sitting home until midnight, 1 a.m, making these maps. Sure. But I have a little notebook with schemes written on the front, and it's where I put down my ideas for maps, because I'll just be out doing something or thinking about it, and it'll randomly I need to make.
Yeah, it'll come to your mind, and you got to make a map on it, check it out.
Are people aware
research.
of your company? What you're,
Yeah, they
what
are.
you do, and they're
They
supportive.
they love it.
Hmm.
I've just changed positions, and my former boss, I was working in the data and analytics department. So it's like artificial intelligence, machine learning, GIS, all of these things that with really, really smart math people, right? And I was a little nervous what they would think, just because it's not a common thing for somebody to come in and say, I make maps about Bigfoot, right? So
Yeah.
but they are very supportive.
Oh, that's cool. Plus, it
yeah.
showcases the technology, what that can do.
That's a great point. I think there's a lot of people, like you asked, what's GIS, right? What can it do? And if somebody this probably draws people from all different walks of life, but if somebody's thinking about what am I going to do for my career? I didn't know what GIS was when I went to college. I was outdoor education is what I wanted to do. And then I found GIS and I was like, mind blown. I'm doing this. This is it. You can do so many things with it. So if it showcases the technology, like you're saying, and inspires someone to get into it, even better. And if they happen to like Bigfoot, great. Right. So
somebody at the bottom named Janky.
Did they make that name right away?
I have a feeling they just did that name. Anyhow, can you put that question up? Scott, you want to handle that?
Do you think Sasquatch group together in the winter like the Maine?
White-tailed deer in Maine.
Okay. Yeah, I think the map we just had up probably justifies that opinion for sure. The seasonal map. Actually, does it? Let me go back and look.
The question is, do they gather? Obviously, they seem to get tighter in the summer.
That's right.
But that would suggest maybe mating season, like Scott had said.
Yeah. So let's look at this map and look at winter here. Let's go to Maine. Maine has very few sightings, next to no data. So
we got to take care of the person named Janky.
Jen from Kentucky, is that it? Am I guessing right?
That's
Janky?
probably it. But it's just a coincidence.
The universe works like that.
We were talking about the Janky pontoon.
That's a good question.
The Janky pontoon.
Yeah.
Do they group together in the winter?
The USS Minnow he's got there.
I don't know. I think it's possible, but I don't have really enough data to answer that accurately without.
The whole winter thing is kind of a mystery. It's a bit of a mystery.
It is. I'd hate to just come up with an answer for sake of having an answer.
I think Scott kind of said it right, though, too, is because most of us, when it's 20, 30 below zero, we're huddled inside our in buildings. We're not out there looking for Bigfoot usually,
right?
And so that's why the sightings go way down. Very well could possibly be they're thriving even in the wintertime. Well, and we're just not there to observe it.
My feeling is some head down the river highways, like in Minnesota down the St. Croix River. They head south to milder weather. I think some stay, some leave, and so you can't really get a pattern. It's tough.
Yeah, it's really difficult. But the more data we have, the more, at least, trends we can start to identify.
So which one of these is really a wow factor for you, Scott?
One of these maps? Is that what you're asking?
Which map?
I think my favorite one which really brings it home for me is I've brought it up before, is this Florida map. It's the first wildlife corridor map that I made. And for me, what it brings to the surface is valid, proven data that verifies that Bigfoot travels wildlife corridors just like existing wildlife. And this is it's supporting data that I've found.
Okay, but explain it more so we all absolutely understand what you're understanding.
Okay, so when you look at the map here, what you see, these orange areas are hubs, right? So the text usually in these maps that I make corresponds to the legend as well. I try to make it the style match what's in the map. So when you look at the map, you've got hubs, these big areas like the Everglades, for example, or national forest or a state forest or a big green area with a lot of wildlife value, right? So, or conservation value would be a good way to describe it.
Okay. Is a hub an area they may live too? Like actually
Yes.
live?
Yep. A hub would be somewhere that would support the wildlife
Okay.
for permanent living, for example, like deer or other organisms, alligators in Florida, etc. So the hubs are what attract the wildlife, for that conservation value. And the way they get there is like these green areas or corridors, these gray areas in the map, which are it's the way that they got them is doing something called the least cost analysis. So basically, they link together the highest conservation values the best they can between these areas, so that you're creating these highways by assigning a network to the conservation values between these areas, right?
Which would give them cover to hide. To
Exactly.
travel.
What's the easiest way for them to get between these hubs with the areas outside of these hubs with the highest conservation value that animals are going to travel and be able to temporarily stay, right? So that they're traveling through. So
Also, I was just going to add one thing that maybe you haven't even thought of. Those highways, those corridors, are also areas that are going to have the least amount of people.
Probably, yes. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, because that's where wildlife would travel, right? They don't want to be right near us all the time.
Because they're corridors, they're wilderness, little wilderness areas. So if you live in a city and there's a wildlife corridor, the average person's not going in there.
Right.
They're going to get covered in wood ticks and bit up by mosquitoes and cut up by thorns.
Yeah, and these areas can be right outside of a neighborhood, right?
Right.
On the backside of a neighborhood, behind, like you said, the movie theater. And they are valid pathways for wildlife to travel through and be supported and hidden. And I think this map really brought it home for me, because it just is, it's like a live snapshot of what's going on in the Southeast for wildlife in general. And then when you overlay the Bigfoot sightings and intersect them and identify which sightings occur in these hubs and corridors, it just lights up. It
shows
it was
really
like a
good
eureka moment.
Yeah, really good analytic patterns.
And it's very simple. It's just, intersection. There's no major statistical analysis required outside of what CCAS used to create the data set. All I'm doing is taking advantage of their great work and incorporating that into my research, right? So I wouldn't have the time or the capabilities of doing this research on my own. So my ability is just in taking and finding good sets of data or research or information and bringing it in to a map. So, yeah.
So if you had to use one map, though, to convince a complete skeptic that these things are real, and let's say it's somebody who's not educated,
Okay.
what argument would you use, Scott?
Oh man, you're grilling me here.
Sorry.
Yeah, that one's
a good one. That's deep.
Yeah.
I think, just thinking for a moment.
No, that's fine.
I would touch on. I'm going to scroll through just so I can get a
it's
visual
kind of
inspiration.
your elevator pitch map.
Right. So, okay, I'm going to give you the elevator pitch for Bigfoot, and I'm going to pull up something that I think everybody can identify and understand. So you're saying they might not be educated, right? So,
right.
The first thing I'm going to say to them is, hey, look at all of this wilderness, this tree canopy cover in the United States. All right. And think about North America. Okay. Where in North America, there's no primates here that are recognized as a species. But if you look at other continents, and you look, almost every other continent except Antarctica has a primate on it, right? Other than humans, monkeys, chimps, apes, gorillas, etc. So you're telling me North America, and I'm not even looking at Canada in this map. There's just a lot of green in the US, for example. You're telling me in all of that green that covers 50% of the United States, there's not a small population that resembles mountain gorillas, for example. Just statistically, right? Look at all these sightings. Look at how they intersect with the tree canopy. the possibility is there, and it's just simple math, right? What's the probability that North America is the only continent without a primate, and there's all this forest in the United States that's untouched that could house a primate, just like a mountain gorilla, for example.
We have tons of land that no one's even walked on yet.
Exactly.
I mean, years here in the United States.
And can you safely say that we are pretty much the only continent where
I'm unsure about Australia.
There's no primates?
I'm unsure about Australia, but I'm pretty sure North America doesn't have any primates.
Yeah. Well, Australia is kind of an outlier.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very confident that North America doesn't have any primates. Central America.
Yet North America was where the natives described primate behavior that they didn't discover until the 60s.
Right. So, I mean, that's exactly what I'm trying to say is like elevator pitch, if I have to get off by the second floor and have you be a believer.
Mine would be with your map, the same map. I would use the same map. You see the line right through just the upper middle of the United States where there's no vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
Just that river, and there's all your sightings. Just following that river.
Right. That's a great observation.
I mean, to me, that's a geographic problem. It's not a demographic problem. It's just geographic. There it is, right there. It's exact.
That's a great observation. I mean, it's there staring you right in the face, under your nose.
Yeah, it's right there. There it is. It's even more important than, areas in the eastern seaboard or the west coast, because that's where they have to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I see what you're saying right here, right?
Yeah, because they would, if they were just spurious, or if they were just a random animal that didn't give a damn, they would be traveling all over these arid areas.
They'd be all over here. That's right.
Yeah, they're not, because they're not going through there.
That's really a genius observation. It's funny when you look at a map so many times and you still can pull stuff new out of it and learn something new. So that's a great observation.
There's your circle. There's your red circle right there. That I would think would help some people's light bulbs to go off.
Yeah, I think so.
But this is a very important map. I mean,
at least connects
even
dots
these
for a
little
lot of people.
isolated forested areas.
Up here too.
Yep, and there they are. You go down south in Texas, on the west part of Texas. Mm-hmm. There's a little pocket of vegetation.
Right.
And there's all your sightings.
Right, and this is tree canopy cover, right? So this is forest. Yeah. So, if I had to give a pitch, this is the map I would use, and now I would incorporate your observation.
Are there any sightings in the Keys?
If there were, they might be. I
swear to God, I see yellow down there. I don't know if you can blow that up or.
I can on this map.
I've always wondered that.
Let's go look. Let's
take
a trip.
Tropical Bigfoots?
Yeah. I don't think there's any in
Key Largo. Are there any Bigfoots as far as Key Largo?
I don't. Oh,
damn near.
Almost.
They're ventured in. They're going. Nope. We're going to turn back.
There's one here.
Turn back. It's a dead end.
Yeah. Turn back. It just gets deeper.
Is that one little dot there?
Yeah, it is.
It's got to be around
1977.
Key Largo or somewhere.
Let's see. Where is that? Let's zoom in.
Marathon or not Marathon? I can't think.
Isla Mirada.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Sighting back in the 70s.
In the 70s. That's right.
I could kind of see it, though.
There's another one in Flamingo. Look, and it's right off a hiking trail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's off the Wilderness Water Trail. So it must be a kayak trail.
Probably the biggest testament to your map, Scott, is that it's 99% incomplete.
It's that last 1% that'll get you.
Yeah.
It's 99% incomplete. I believe 1% of the data that's available on your map. Could you imagine if you had 100%?
No, I can't. I can't imagine what we would learn.
It would be a smear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. It would. We'd have to I'd have to turn on some parameters just so that things would draw at zoomed in levels instead of all the way at the full extent.
Florida's a really interesting area.
Wow, Florida is a hotbed.
Florida was where I heard my first wood knock, return wood knock that Matt Moneymaker had done. And we got a return wood knock that was right after that sounded exactly what he had done. And I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it was up by the Panhandle.
Was it? Okay.
Up there. Yeah, Ocala area.
Here's Ocala.
But take a look at just all the sightings in Florida.
There are I'll take you guys if you'd like to see one of my favorite reports that was reported through the crowdsourcing portion of this app. We're going to go all the way to Idaho, and we're going to check out this one here in the Panhandle of Idaho. And this is an elk hunter who was out hunting in 2020. So that's one of the cool things is when there's a recent sighting, I'll post it, right? Like this has happened yesterday, So, and you can see the area, you can go right to it and see their pictures or the description. And this was one that happened in November 2020. So it was a little before I started actually a little after I started the website, and they were out elk hunting and they found footprints. And in that crowdsourcing survey, you can attach pictures.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool.
So they took some pictures of what they found.
So they can attach your evidence if you want
to.
Yeah,
exactly. So they attached 3 pictures, and I'll just pull them up. So yeah, you can see how big. I like this one in particular. Jeez. I mean, it is a bit melted, so you have to factor that in. But if you look at the other ones, you can see these distinct toe and heel, right? So it's really, I think, very interesting. And look how big that is next to a full grown man's shoe, right? So you're imagining it's probably around the size 9, 10, maybe 11, right?
Yeah.
But so
that is super cool.
I have an interesting question. What if, like somebody like myself, a researcher, let's say I want to put 50 sightings that I'm aware of, know their exact locations, and want to give you that info. Is there a way for one researcher listening that can contact you and say, here's a whole bunch of sightings that is not in the BFRO. It's not here. It's stuff I investigated. And
sure.
Would you be willing to take the time to put those up?
I would love that. I think that would be it would be a cool badge of honor, right? To be able to do that. And the best way to really get in touch with me, if you have a data set like that, is my email. It's scott@bigfootmap.com. And it's made just for this project, and it's out there. So if you have anything like that, and or if you have questions, or anything, constructive criticism, the best way to get a hold of me is my email. And it's, one more time, it's scott@bigfootmap.com.
Could they even mark up a Google map and then provide that to you?
Sure.
A little bit of info.
I'm also happy to have a screen share call where we work through things together.
Okay, great.
Very happy to do that. So
very cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's always something to learn, and I think I would be very happy to talk to someone that's a researcher and had put all this work into a database, rather than them just shipping it to me. I would like to get their insights, and I don't think a lot of that comes out without having a conversation. So it would be important to me to honor their research and rather than just for the sake of building a bigger database.
And I'm very let down, Scott, because there's not one map in your room.
There is. It's rolled up.
Oh,
there are maps. They're rolled up on my stand. They're nautical maps, actually. So there are.
I figured you'd have maps all over everywhere.
You know what? You're gonna laugh. This is my work from home office, but we have a front room in the house, and it's the only room in the house where I'm allowed to keep my taxidermy. It's called the whiskey room, and there's maps on the wall, and there's deer, and that's where all the man decorations go.
Yeah,
one room in the house. That's all I get.
Things like
little corner of the house, basically.
Things like swordfish and hammerhead sharks.
Yeah, right.
Right, Alex?
Yes, hammerhead sharks.
Hammerhead worms.
My son just bought a home and had a hammerhead shark in the kitchen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I'm
I
like,
think that's cool.
dude, I want this shark.
Yeah, give me the shark. I need it for the garage. I want to put that in my little lake. You should tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, So where do you go from here? What do you want to accomplish? I mean, what's your ultimate goal? What would you like to ultimately prove?
Pie in
Scott?
the sky dream. I'd like to transition the Bigfoot mapping project to the Bigfoot conservation project. So ideally, whenever it happens, we are going to make a discovery. I hope somebody is, right. By we, I mean the community, not the project. Right. And I hope that we've built the database and all of this information and analyzed, their behaviors to such a point that we can help become a protective, conservative type organization for this species, right? So I hope that we build it in such a way that it can be helpful even after there is a discovery, and we can start to rope off areas, make regulations, protective areas, conservation areas, those types of things. So that's what I
really
hope we can get to.
The map is also really showing their habitat, what they like to live in.
Right.
And that's great too.
David Ellis just asked an important question, which I would imagine the answer is yes. John Green had 3,000 sightings. Did you get that data, Scott?
John Green, if it was included in Mangiani's database, I did.
Probably was.
I did not ingest a standalone John Green database though. So if it was included in Mangiani's historical database, which I also cite on the website, I did. But standalone, I did not find that and incorporate it. So if
I
could,
was. I think it was.
I think it rings a bell. I'd have to go back and look at the list of what was in that database, but by itself, I did not.
Yeah, I mean, John really, in some ways, I would have loved it. Could he have been here to meet you? Because John was one of the first people to start pin mapping sightings and pointing out things like, even to me, saying, Doug, most of these sightings are where there's 40 inches of rain or more.
Right. Like
he was the first guy to bring up stuff like that.
There's so many ways to look at this data and ways to enrich it and come out with insights like that, right? Like it's just a matter of what correlation you can make and what data sets you can find, right?
Have you done rainfall?
Not yet. No, I haven't done precipitation yet. Rainfall. I'm getting all kinds of ideas. I'm gonna have to send you guys some t-shirts.
Rainfall, and I think you could break it up by 40 inches or more.
I could definitely
or less.
Even snowpack map, deepest snowpack.
Yeah. So when I make a map like that, I usually let the data speak to me, like classify itself naturally.
Right.
I'll do natural breaks in the data set, and then you can see that's how the patterns kind of come through naturally, right? But that's a great idea. Rainfall. I think that's if you look at the Instagram, it'll be coming out soon.
Well, we're definitely going to do some investigation to make sure you've got John Green sightings. If not, we will get them to you.
Yes, I would love that. It's
3,000.
So we would be up to 11,000 then, which would really start to really help us identify trends. I think would be great.
Yep. And you'd be at like 1.2% of all the sightings.
Yeah.
That's
really? I mean, it's the possibilities are endless, and the more data we get, the more we'll learn. So I would love it to look like somebody finger painted over the entire web app, just covered in sightings, because then we'd really.
So Scott Helt made a funny comment. He goes, protecting Bigfoot would be like saying you need to protect the Navy.
Touche. Maybe I guess we'd be protecting people. People that would go out there.
But it would be cool to set aside. I do think it would be really cool to set aside certain wilderness areas.
I think if there were, or when there is a discovery, I think it not only be cool, it would be responsible, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one thing to have edges in wildlife corridors. It's another to get rid of every corridor that we have. And I'm actually seeing that my own hometown, because they're just building like crazy, and they're building over swamplands that were just precious to me. Yeah. And I've just seen them bulldoze these, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and that having lived, I lived in Houston during Harvey, right? So one of the things that really impacted pavement right? So you might just see it as, like you're saying, it's getting rid of those swamps, but that runoff has to go somewhere, right? So, you're not only going to perhaps destroy some valuable ecological areas by paving over them, but you're also providing perhaps future disasters, right? Like flooding from all of that pavement is going to destroy more or force wildlife out of particular areas. So it has a lot of implications.
I'm all for development and punching and living in wilderness areas and even, limited suburb growth. But then at some point it's got to end. You just can't keep.
Yeah, you just can't keep encroaching.
You can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
You can leave wild and green belts. And their idea of green belts are getting pretty small.
Pretty thin, yeah. Unfortunately, I think there's a valuable there's value in balancing expansion and development with nature, really.
Yeah, there's got to be a delicate balance,
right?
And it's all about money and getting the the funding. Like if you look at what Ducks Unlimited has done with wetlands,
a great model
for hunting. They have bought so many wetlands. It's incredible, but it's for hunting. But they're preserving, and the duck populations, as we all know, are growing.
They're doing a great model. Yeah,
they're doing well.
National Turkey Federation does the same thing. Wild Turkey Federation, Trout of America. They all hunting and fishing. It's a great model for conservation. It's counterintuitive, right? You think, they're out there hunting and killing some of these animals, but in order to have enough animals to hunt, you have to have a big population, and the best way to do that is through conservation.
Yeah, strength of population is also hunting them as well to keep the strong alive.
Exactly.
Right. It's a balance. So it all comes back to balance.
Yep. Exactly.
Well,
wow, Scott, this is hell of a topic. Awesome.
I could stay here and talk all night.
Oh honestly. My gosh. It is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. One of the freshest ideas in the field too in a long time.
Cool.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been
And I would like to officially announce Scott has agreed to participate in Legend Meets Science documentary.
I have. Yes.
So very cool.
Welcome aboard.
I'm really cool. Any warnings? Should I be worried about that?
No, it'll be a great time. I just want to thank everyone that listened tonight. I want to thank you, Doug. I want to thank Alex. Thank you so much for engineering the show again, producing it. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show, bringing this great topic. Really, guys, like and subscribe, comment, tell your friends, get everybody to look at this with you, watch the show. We really appreciate everybody that does this stuff with us, and we love each and every one of you guys. Till next time.
Thanks, guys.